You won't believe the scene I witnessed at the bottle drop last week. Imagine this. A grown woman, red-faced and yelling, forcing her own elderly mother to stand in line at the slowest machine in the store, while she stood off to the side scrolling on her phone. The sound of aluminum cans clattering against the conveyor belt mixed with her mother's quiet apologies as she struggled to keep up. And right behind them, a line of frustrated customers watching the chaos unfold. The daughter's name was Karen, though of course at the time I didn't know her. She wore oversized sunglasses indoors, her arms crossed, tapping her foot impatiently, as if she were somehow the victim in all of this. Her mother, probably in her late 70s, was trembling slightly as she fed one bottle at a time into the outdated machine. Everyone in line knew the newer, faster machines were open, but Karen barked at her mother to stay put and stop being slow. You could feel the tension rising. A man with a full cart of soda cans muttered under his breath. A young mom with 2 kids tried to distract them as the noise of Karen's shouting grew sharper. The employees exchanged uneasy glances, but no one stepped in. They didn't want to poke the bear, and Karen looked like she was just waiting for an excuse to explode. I tried to ignore it at first, but the moment that really struck me was when Karen's mom paused to rub her wrists. She looked exhausted. That's when Karen leaned forward and snapped, "If you're too old to do this, maybe you shouldn't have bought so much soda in the first place." The whole room went silent. You could practically hear the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. It was humiliating, and Karen didn't care who heard. She was more concerned about keeping her hands clean and avoiding the sticky machine than helping her own mother. A few people in line shifted uncomfortably, but nobody said a word. I'll admit, I was torn. On one hand, it wasn't really my business. On the other, how could anyone just stand by and watch an elderly woman get scolded like that in public? I could see the mother's face turning red with embarrassment, her hands trembling even more as she tried to move faster. But then something unexpected happened. Someone finally broke the silence, and the entire mood of the bottle drop shifted in an instant. It was the man with the cart of soda cans who finally spoke up. He cleared his throat, stepped closer, and said firmly, "Ma'am, your mom shouldn't be doing this alone. Why don't you give her a hand?" His voice wasn't confrontational, but it cut through the tension like a knife. Karen whipped her head around, her sunglasses sliding down her nose. "Excuse me? This is our business. Not yours," she snapped, her voice dripping with indignation. "She's fine. She just likes to complain." But the look on her mother's face told a different story. She looked relieved someone had noticed, but also terrified that her daughter might lash out more. Her hands shook as she fumbled another can into the slot, the machine groaning like it couldn't keep up with her trembling pace. The young mom with kids stepped forward next. She set her bag down and said gently, "You know, the faster machines are open. It might be easier for her there." She glanced at Karen's mother with a sympathetic smile. Karen let out a bitter laugh. "You all act like she's some fragile little thing. She needs the exercise. Besides, I'm not touching that disgusting machine. That's why she's here." That last sentence hit everyone hard. It wasn't about helping or teaching or even saving time. It was about control. Karen didn't want to get her own hands dirty, so she pushed the burden onto her mother. The employee at the counter finally decided to step in. He walked over cautiously, keeping his tone polite. "Ma'am, if you'd like, I can transfer your bottles over to one of the newer machines. They're faster and easier to use." Before her mother could answer, Karen cut him off sharply. "No, she's fine right where she is." The room grew heavier. Customers started whispering, shaking their heads. And then, to everyone's surprise, the elderly mother finally spoke up. Not to Karen, but to the employee. Her voice was quiet but steady. "Yes, please. I'd like that very much." Karen's jaw dropped. For the first time, her control slipped. She opened her mouth to argue, but the employee already began helping. The older woman moved her bottles to the newer machine. The line erupted with supportive nods and murmurs of approval. Karen tried to protest, raising her voice again, but the tide had turned. Nobody was on her side anymore. The man with the cart muttered, "Shameful," loud enough for her to hear. The young mom patted the older woman's shoulder. Even the kids smiled at her, as if to say she wasn't alone. And Karen? She stormed toward the door, sunglasses back in place, muttering about how ungrateful everyone was. But her mother stayed, finishing her bottles at the faster machine with dignity. For the first time that day, she looked like she could breathe again. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more unbelievable HOA and Karen dramas, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, so you never miss a new upload. Drop a like if you felt the mom deserved better, and share your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you would have done in this situation.